Well, folks, hello. As you can see, we have Valentine with us again today, and he's going to talk about men bonding with humanity, which I find to be a very interesting subject, especially seeing how many women are bonding with humanity, and it's the feminine energy that we need to embrace even as men. Valentine?
Amen to that. Aloha and welcome in the rainbows here on Maui here and around the world. I hope that, when I was given the message, when I was in the wilderness with the Christ consciousness, actually Christ appeared to me about the message, men, team, spirit. Now I understand what was 3 times was given to me. I put it on the video, Warrior Men with Angel Wings. If someone wants to refer back to it, where I'm in the wilderness, like Moses in the mountain, and it took a long time to get there, like 39 years. It didn't happen overnight.
It was long after you had your little league days.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's 11-13, right? 11 to 13 there, right? So yeah, throwing the baseball, the fireball. Exactly. The strikeouts, right? So anyway, so while I was in the wilderness and all, this made sense to me. The other night, I was watching on PBS, Civilization. If you look it up, Civilization, there's 2 parts in it, and they talk about the men bonding as an example. The Sufi men, they gathered together, thousands and tens of thousands of men together, spiritually come together, and unison, Ron. I've never seen nothing like it. They shake their heads like this, slowly. They rock back and forth, right? Then it builds and builds, almost like a rave. I don't know if you know what a rave is, but
yeah, of course.
Yeah, like a rave. They suffer together, they're joyful together, and then they're blissful together. And they're locked in. They sit down like a Buddha, right? Or a yoga position, if you want to say sitting, and they lock arms and bodies. I've never seen it like it. It's like the penguins over there in Antarctica, where, well, they'll freeze to death if they don't bring their body temperature together. It's an example. Those you know what I'm talking about, those they have the movies on them and everything to make fun and everything, that they're 50 below zero and they survive. So I saw this on the Civilization with outside of the men. I never seen anything like it, Ron. I never seen, and now I understand the message even more. It got me really inspired, Ron, that when it was giving me the message 3 times, men, team, spirit, I was like, okay, this fits in with the men bonding. It's team bonding. See, when we come together as a team, we're bonding as men, and that's what's lacking in the world today for humanity, and that's what I want to speak about.
Yeah, well, the elite does not want bonding. Mm-hmm. They want separation because it feeds their agenda. Their agenda is not about love and peace. It's about war and control.
Yes. So what we need to do is step aside and unite our golden light, our rainbows, the all the colors of the spectrum of all our nationalities come together around the world. The Polynesians, the Indians, and Native American Indians, the Sweat Lodge, which I'm going to talk about in a little while too, is when we go into the Sweat Lodge, we get clarity because we're in there all afternoon. The preparation, I did it for 2 years. They call me Moose Heart when I go in the lodge, with the Lakota, Wallace Black Elk, and Charlotte Black Elk.
Yeah, well, I've done a lot of sweat lodges myself. You know that. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, please share about it. What was your experiences?
Yeah, well, we did it regularly every month in a certain group, and then there was another group that was north of where I live, and the other was south of where I live, and they started meeting once a month. So there were 2 sweat lodges a month. And one time they had, I don't remember if it was a Lakota, but an actual Native American, and he made the lodge so hot that several of us had to leave. because
Oh yeah.
we could not take the heat. But
Yes.
we learned later that he didn't like Caucasians or white people doing the sweat lodge, so he made the lodge way more hot than most of us had ever been used to.
Oh, is that right? So if you know the key, if they ever do that to you again in the future, or to let people know, and I work with this in Maui. It's from the South Dakota. We have the lodge in up country in Haiku, right? And what happens when it gets really, really hot like that, you get down low,
close to the ground,
lowest to the ground, Mother Earth, the dirt, to the dirt, and put your face down, and that will help you revive yourself.
That was a common practice in all of the lodges, to get as close to the earth as possible with our face.
Yes, yeah. So you're aware of it, but like you said, it is hot, man. Let me tell you, it'll burn you. Worse than you think steam is something. This steam is from hot rocks, herbs. You're talking all natural, Native American tradition. Lakota, they don't mess around.
They would have these rocks in the fire right outside the lodge, and they'd bring the rocks into the lodge. And when it started cooling down a little bit, they'd go get more rocks and add rocks into the middle of the sweat lodge.
Yeah, exactly. So when they did that, when I was doing the lodge, so you'll know, I was there with Makeshta. He was from Alaska and Hawaii here, and they were doing the men's first. It was all men came together, right? In this sweat lodge. It's at Sage's at that time, and Sage would say, "Oh, but I did it for the women first. I wanted the women to come." And it got so much with the energy with the women that they had to have the fire tenders come in with the men and join in and bring the two male and female energy, because it was too much with the feminine. It wasn't enough with the male. So they realized.
Yeah, well, most of the lodges that I did were mixed lodges. And in fact, in the one group, we didn't wear any clothing.
Right.
And in the other group, they wore bathing suits.
Right. Yeah, and we would wear suits and everything. I was in Northern California where I experienced. You talk about the cleansing and preparation. You'd have a bathing suit on, or a lot of people wouldn't. Because they're not going to go in the water, but they would put a towel around them. They wouldn't just just openly show themselves unless they had to, or they had a tight knit group that's been doing this a long time, and they had no problem with it. People.
Yeah, well, we would bring towels in with us to. We'd go in with a towel around us, and the one place where we did the lodge, it was right on the river. And we would go out of the lodge and go right into the river.
Yeah, and that's what I did in Northern California with the same thing. Went up the mountain. They got me prepared, and they said, you're going in, and I went into that river, like you said, the black, what do you call it? The raven. Actually, as soon as I got out of the lodge, I'm not kidding you. The spirit, I call it the spirit tribes. They go bird spirits. Spirit was guiding me to get in that water because it was so hot. Your body needed to cool down, like you said. I mean, I'm telling you, to the bone. I mean, if you got nothing but cleansing through your whole system, and you're radiating, your body's radiating at such a rate that everything is alive, firing from your feet to your head. I mean, it literally is like you're a new person. You become renewed and refreshed and very alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't done a sweat lodge, and it's probably been, I'm going to say 5, maybe even 6 years. But I used for 3 or 4 years, maybe, whatever. I mean, I did them regularly.
You did?
Yeah, regularly.
Yeah.
Every month. And again, initially it was just 1, then it was 2 a month.
There you go. Well, I was doing it every week for 2 years, Ron. Every week, every 2 weeks. That's how serious the Lakota are. They denounced the United States, 5 of them, because they said the United States, we want to help you. They said, we don't need your help. We know exactly what we're here to do, and we're going to go forward what we need to do now, since we saw the past and what we went through with the United States. You follow?
Well, the United States is a criminal nation, but we won't go into that. It's a corporation, actually.
Yeah, a corporation. Maybe you should do an LLC and have to pay taxes. It's crazy.
Well, the high-ups don't pay any taxes.
No, they don't.
They collect taxes from everybody else.
Yeah.
So they get richer and the poor get poorer.
Yes. So what we need to do is, and I want to mention, I was going on air today and I mentioned to you on the topic about Warrior Men with Angel Wings. The book arrived on the 25th, but the mailing address through the UPS and the US Postal, I gave them both addresses. And of course, they put the one address mixed with the other. You give them one address and they'll say, oh, it doesn't, you have to go to your home. UPS doesn't go to your postal. Only US Postal goes to your post office box. So I have two addresses, right? I have to keep it as one. And if you give them the postal address, they won't come to your door. So you have to go pick up the package yourself.
Yeah.
But they're great. I mean, they're doing the best they can. I heard the type of routing that they had, that I spoke with one of the women that take care of all of the Hawaiian Islands here. I happen to know the family and the people, and I was amazed with the amount of routes that these men have to ride, and the women that are out there. The amount of pressure and everything that to get all these packages is beyond.
Especially the time of the year in December where everybody's sending gifts to everybody else.
Right. So
they work, they're working 16-hour days.
Yeah. When she told me the amount of routes that they have to do before they get the package, trying to do it last night so I could show it on air today. I've been, and it was here the 25th. They said, oh, they have to do 80 more packages before they come home. I said, let's leave it for tomorrow. I'll do it another day. That's craziness.
Yeah.
80 more at 5 p.m? What time? Wait, they don't go to sleep? It's like a bank. It stays open 24 hours. You know what I mean? Like an ATM machine. That's a lot of hours for a family to keep, delivering packages, these workers. Right. So getting back to what we were speaking about, Ron, I think that's what's missing, as you mentioned, with the feminine energy. When I went into the lodge, and I want to bring this up also. So on our lodge, we have the Lakota, and then we have a training center for the Buddhists. And that's where the Dalai Lama comes and stays on the property. I want to bring this up because the Dalai Lama, it's called the Lama Room, when I was with Sage, and they call her Jetsumna. And you can look it up. It's called Jetsumna's Lodge. And I want to dedicate this video to her and to the lodge for her passing. And she's very, very young, in her 60s. They're investigating it. But apparently, when I was leaving from Molokai, I told her I want to go see her. She was taking care of her dad, and she was taking care of all this responsibility. And she had a stroke, and she's gone. And
she died.
She died, yeah. And she came to me. It's really interesting. We're that close for 25 years, Ron. Jetsumna. So it's Jetsuma Lodge. People can look it up. You'll see a young.
Spell that again for me so I can write it down.
So it's like Jet, Jet, and then some SUM, and then N as in Nancy, A. Jetsumna's with an S. Lodge, Lodge.
Well, I know how to spell lodge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have Jetsumna right or not, but we'll see.
You'll see. We'll go over it in a little while before we go.
Okay.
But getting back to it, when you see it, you'll see how much I was involved with the lodge run. People see the picture of me 20 years ago, where you'll recognize me with a whole group with Sage Jetsumna. That's her Buddhist name. And the Dalai Lama and the lamas here, that she was self-realized very early on. And she said, I did the Lakota, and I did my mother did it in Kauai and Oahu, she's from, right? And she's Hawaiian and Filipino. And she was gracious with so many souls. that she said, if you don't come to the lodge, I'm going to do it anyway. So if you don't want to come, I'm going to do it. And they all come. They come internationally. They would seek us out around the world. When they come into Hawaii, they would find our lodge to do their, from drugs, from alcohol, from addictions. They would find us. I kid you not, Ron. I'll give you an example. This one guy, he's next to me. You talk about the heat and all. They don't like white people or what, right? But this guy, I'm not kidding you. There's no way. He crawled he went underneath the ground. It was so hot for him. He went underneath and dug a hole and went the other side, and no one's ever done it except him. He found a way to crawl his way out of the lodge during the ceremony. He couldn't hit. And she said, if anybody, it gets too much, we'll open up and let you out. He didn't want to be let out. He crawled under like a, what do you call an animal that goes underneath? Like
a mole.
like a mole or whatever. Yeah, I don't know how he fit in there. He's a big guy, and how he did it, I couldn't believe it. He found a way to get out of the lodge, which I've never seen before. Have you ever seen anybody crawl underneath and get out?
No, I didn't. But it would be easy because the lodges that I used to do, they were just simply trees that could be bent in the shape, and then they had blankets and animal skins and stuff over the lodge. So you would just pull up the corner where, it wasn't nailed down or anything.
Yeah, right. So he was smart enough, instead of disturbing the ceremony, he decides to do a Tom and Jerry and sneak out, So, but getting back to it, so the Dalai Lama gets welcomed in, quietly here on the island when he speaks. As I mentioned, I was with him in Denmark with his international group. We have the same birthday, July 6th, just so you'll know.
You and the Dalai Lama?
Yep, we have the same birthday, but different year. Right?
Well, of course.
Yeah. Hopefully we have the same wisdom too. to help humanity. Because the way he looks at life, I look at through humor and comedy to set off the seriousness of what you see on for humanity. The opposite of what we see all the time. I cut it with humor, just automatically. So when he came in, they named this room the Lama Room. Well, people can look it up, because I'll tell you, there are a majority of people, when they see this video, it'll go on television. Right, I want to tell you while I'm talking to you, they played it Saturday and Sunday, 9 videos, 5 on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. They're playing it today at 2:40 in the afternoon, all week long. They said heavily, we're playing your videos with you and Ron. We're heavily playing these videos for 2 years. I thought maybe they were just, going to do it for the holidays. It is obviously making an impact.
It's only showing in Hawaii, though. Nobody else can see them.
I know. Well, I'm working with Comcast, which will be Universal Studios, and the decision makers said it would go on an international level, Valentine, also, if we do take this on. So they're just getting back from Hawaii. So give them a little time to get settled. And then I'm going to discuss it with the people and see if they're interested. Comcast, they have cable all around the international world.
Of course, everybody's heard of Comcast. Well, at least I have. Yeah, well, not everybody, of course.
Right. And there's four major gentlemen that I spoke with, from Jeff to Colorado to the East Coast and Boston, New Jersey, New York. They're going to get back to me, and discuss about getting the video. They're going to look at the video and see if it's the right thing to put on Comcast, what we're doing. So, I'm hoping that if other people find a way of their television station and they want this brought out with you and I and what we're speaking to help humanity, then contact us, Valentine Maui Gmail, and with Ron, ParadoxMan316, right?
Well, if they want to help humanity, there's only one way to do it. That's to stop the war and start the love machine going.
The diamonds of love.
And love machine can only run telling the truth. No more lies.
Exactly.
No more deceptive practices.
Exactly. So if they're not going to speak the truth, Ron, then we will. So we need to get the gatherers together that will speak the truth, and they're walking their walk, not talking their walk, right? So getting back to the Dalai Lama, when I was in the Lama room, his name is Dharma Sangha, that Jetsumna went to Nepal and wanted me to oversee the property while she was gone, right? So his name's Dharma Sangha, and if you look him up, they call him the Buddha boy. That's how you'll get his name. But he doesn't like being called the Buddha boy. My name's Dharma Sangha. I was in the Lama room. I'm not kidding you. I was helping this hip hop artist from New York that flew in. That was the last time I was with Jetsumna in the lodge personally. I mean, with her to spend quality time with her for about 10 days, right? So we set everything up, and I go to the Lama room, and I'm not kidding you. And the Dalai Lama slept in that room, and that's why they call it the Lama room. And the kid's in there, and he's going crazy because he's, really going crazy with the high energy, the cleansing, right? And he's like fidgety and everything. Well, the Dalai Lama blessed it, right? So while I'm in there, the mudras, they do mudras. And the reason I'm bringing it up in Hawaii, there's more Buddhists here in Hawaii than on the island than Christians. There's more Buddhism here from around the world, right? So I found that out, right? So while I'm in there, when I go to sleep, you would say, you go into the dream time, this angelic brother, they call him Dharma Sangha, masses of people around the world. He didn't eat for 7 years. You can look him up. And he came in for enlightenment purposes. He didn't want to eat a morsel. He said once he starts the process, he's not going to want to go through what we're going through, what we as humans go through. He wanted to stay in the spiritual light and be protected from above, with the Lord. You know what I mean saying? With what their beliefs are. So it was a tree and a fire. Everything was protecting him. They can look it up. People can look up about Dharma Sangha or Buddha boy, and it'll show the name Dharma Sangha. Well, I've done mudras and all, and people doing mudras, which is prayer, right? They do prayer on their like what I'm wearing here. Each one they'll do a prayer and they'll do a mantra. So while I was in there, the whole room lit up like daylight, and now and there's water.
I've experienced that.
Yeah, the whole room lit up with daylight, and he comes walking in the spirit world, right? And shows me the vision. He walks in and he goes, "I'm Dharma Sangha. I want to be called. I'm Dharma Sangha." And he's doing all these mudras on me, and he's in this completely different dimension, giving me a healing of continuing, because he's very angelic. And the Dalai Lama, the reason I'm bringing it up, he said he's the teacher of all teachers, from all the ones down the line that the Dalai Lama followed. He is the teacher of all teachers, Dharma Sangha. People should look him up. He's very, very, he's been brought in for a higher purpose, and they'll see what that is with the lamas and the Buddhism. And so that's where Jetsumna was preparing herself between the lodge. You don't usually see that. You have a lodge and you have a Buddhist center, a temple. And the Dalai Lama anointed her to put a stupa on her property, which is with such an honor. A stupa they put on, like, it's rare, a stupa. That's like a temple for the Buddhism, that's for them to come, like a training center. And I said, what are you going to do with the retreat center, what you're doing here? I want to leave this to the Buddhas. They want to take it over as a training centers around the world here for Hawaii. And she said, that's what I want to do while I go to Nepal. And I want you to watch over for me. And he came to me because she said she was she felt that he needed the support from her. So she left Hawaii because she was his mother in another lifetime. And she wanted to support him, what he was going through, before eating one morsel after 7 years, to come in and experience what he experienced, what we're experiencing when we totally start to become physical and stay out of the spiritual. You know what I'm saying? He was strictly in the spiritual light, this beautiful being of light. Yeah.
That's hard for most people to imagine that haven't experienced it. And I haven't experienced it to the degree that you're talking about. By the way,
Yeah.
you have about 5 more minutes left.
Okay. So with going back to it, so when that happened and everything, it left me off with a okay. Apparently, the spiritual essence of who we really are, and if we can stay in that direction and light up those rooms all around the world, like be touched in that way, and move forward and unite and bring the bonding together, I think we'll start making a difference. But we got to do it quietly. We can't go on air and go tell everybody, hey, this is what we're going to do before we do it. You know what I mean? We need to join.
Well, there's a lot of that going on right now on many levels.
I know. It's like, you don't tell people, you quietly get together and don't announce anything till you're actually uniting your forces of golden light and forces of hearts coming together from around the world to help humanity. And another thing is with the book Warrior Women Angel Wings was the other one. Come together. They had 25 international authors. We want the males to come in that are balanced in the feminine. That's important for us to do. Now,
absolutely.
Very important. You brought that up in the beginning of the program about, men can bond, but if they don't have the support of the feminine energy, then it's too much for them with the testosterone.
We all have masculine and feminine energy within us, and it has nothing to do with our gender. Yes. It has to do with being human.
Yes, exactly. So, we have to just trust by faith that we have to move forward and help each other in our communities and families, as I mentioned. And through the book, I now met someone with a shipping company. They deal with thousands, like a publisher with thousands of books, tens of thousands, like pallets, and said to me, I know what you're doing with the children and all. I said, I'd like to give these books out to people. I don't want to charge people. I want the proceeds to go to help humanity. And they say, look, I got a shipping company. I want to look at the book, and I like to be in discussion. I said, how many books would you like? I said, let me discuss it with the publisher and the compiler. And so that's come my way, along with Comcast, and others are coming to me freely, owning movie theaters, and say, we want to put your story out, what you're doing. I own movie theaters throughout the United States, and once you're ready, let me know. So something's on the rise about bringing our bonding together, of coming together.
Yeah, an uplifting message needs to be brought forward so that more and more people can hear it. I mean, I was giving my granddaughter a ride from school the other day, and as soon as she gets in the car, well, actually before she even gets in the car, she's got her cell phone. I says, what would you do if you didn't have a cell phone? She says, I'd go crazy. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
Yes, well, a lot of us grew up when there was no such thing as cell phones.
Right. Or holes in your pants.
We learned, well, everybody had, all the kids have holes in their pants now. That's a fashion statement.
Yeah.
If you get pants with no holes, it costs $15 maybe. If you get ones with holes, it's $25. I'm making those numbers up, but really the holes cost more money.
Yeah. And even I've noticed the parents are wearing them because the kids are wearing them. The parents, I looked at them like, what are you going, your teenage years? Which is great and fun, but come on, come on, I mean, maybe to have fun with it, and they want to join in with the kids, they're doing what they're doing, and long as they're making a difference. That's the main thing we need to do, Ron, is to make a difference. I believe that if we do the uniting, the bonding, the men do their work, the women will follow suit. The men and the women together will come together. And that's what the women are waiting for, that message. They want with men that are enlightened, or in the light, not what we see with the
or
men.
At least choosing to love one another.
Yes. Bringing the diamonds of love to one another, as we spoke. Like you're saying, if we keep uniting those hearts. And there are people that are very loving on this plane. That not everyone's good here, which I thought everybody was good. You know, they need to come along as they will, but we need to unite the people that are awake and bringing together the enlightenment. So that's what we need to do. So we just send our blessings to everyone, and happy to see you, Ron. And we just send our golden light, the Christ light, as we go forward in the rainbows to everyone. We send our blessings here from Hawaii, live on Maui.
Thank you, Valentine.